I want to get into an interview with a very special guest who's been on the show before, but now he's 16-0, 9 KOs. He's the WBC Interim Featherweight World Champion. And he ended the interview last time saying something quite unique. I want to kick it off with that. It is Bruce SchuZ Carrington on the SchuZ Show. Bruce, appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
It's the SchuZ Show on the SchuZ Show.
Absolutely, man. Well, first things first, you were on last time. Obviously, you haven't had the mega fight, the world championship fight that you wanted yet, but I see the belts back there. You're an interim world champion now. How does that feel?
Man, I feel great. You mentioned the belts and everything like that right now. It's like it's just been one heck of a journey, and now finally, just one step closer away from the dreamland, and that's being a world champion. My last fight, I won the WBC interim title, and hopefully that makes me the mandatory for the WBC title.
Right.
But either way, we're highly ranked, at least in the top four of all of the sanctioning bodies, and I'm ready to fight any of the champions. They just have to be, willing to fight me.
I want to ask about the situation because it's quite interesting. I had Elijah Pierce on a couple of weeks ago. I know you guys know each other quite well, and
Yeah.
he's moving up to 126 now. But we talked about this. When you have a division like 122 with a guy like Inoue,
Mm.
obviously, he's undisputed. There's only one guy you can go for world championships. It makes it a little more difficult to get those shots. 126 should be a lot more wide open. So when you look at that, what's the problem? Like, why are there so many of these guys not wanting to unify, not want to fight, inactivity? What's just going on there?
I genuinely don't know. When it comes to them not wanting to fight me, like I understand, like they might not want to risk they're using a title to a person that doesn't have a title. Maybe the fight might not be as lucrative because I don't have a title, so they might, try to find excuses. Or, you know, the obvious reason to me is that I'm one hell of a risk. Now, when it comes to them not unifying, I have no idea why they're not unifying. Like the
Mhm.
featherweight division has not been this hot since forever,
Yeah.
and I genuinely don't know why they're not mixing and matching each other and getting these fights, happening. To be honest, the featherweight division could be one of the top divisions in the world right now if things were, moved right. But it's weird. Like you see Nick Ball, he's fighting nothing but 122 pounders. Like his last
Yeah.
two fights were 122 pounders. This next fight he has coming up is a 122 pounder. He's kind of like, getting away with this, and no one's saying anything about it. Um, then you have Stephen Fulton. He won the title. Granted, he won it after someone he beat before in the lower weight class, 122.
Right.
And then even in the fight before, he had that world championship fight. He got dropped against Carlos Castro. And then it just decided to move up conveniently right after, like I win a WBC eliminator fight.
Right.
So those are just a couple of examples that I've been dealing with. That's been borderline frustrating, but I try not to let it get to my head and just trust in God's plan.
All right, so I want to ask about that aspect. We talked about the fact, okay, you have an interim world championship now, and obviously, for a moment, I feel like you have to take a kind of step back and say, all right, I have accomplished a lot of things. I've been very successful. It's kind of incredible to see where God's got me. At
Mm.
the same time, though, I know you have that motivation where it's like, okay, I know what I'm capable of doing. And honestly, from my point of view, looking at it, you've done everything. You've checked every box. You deserve that world championship shot. So how do you balance this? The mental aspect, not even in the ring. You know what you can do there. The mental aspect of saying, you know what, being grateful, but still saying, you know what, why are these opportunities not coming? How do you deal with that?
I mean, I just pray. To be honest, I pray every single day.
Mm,
I would say I pray every other day about that specific topic. Because there are times when I guess I might look on the internet and I might see a post. I'm like, oh, why you should not get this opportunity? People are like kind of going crazy for me,
mm,
and sometimes I sit to myself. I'm like, man, why am I not getting this opportunity? And I try not to let it, get to me. So I pray, and then I see how things play out. Then I realize, maybe it's not supposed to happen right now. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, maybe it's supposed to, happen a little later. Maybe, something that I don't know that I am like that I didn't improve on yet. maybe it's not, ready right now because I haven't improved on this particular thing yet. And
Mm.
when I do, then I realize, oh, okay, then this is what God was waiting for me to do, so I can have the opportunity now. Things like that. God works in mysterious ways. So I pray a lot to keep myself like really humble, stay grounded, and those are the things that keep me, straight on.
Where would you say has been the biggest moment that you've had to rely upon God to help get you to where you're at today?
Say it again.
Yeah, what would you say has been the biggest moment that you've had to rely upon God to help get you to where you're at today?
Well, is that inside the ring or outside the ring?
You could do either one. If you want to do one of each, whichever one works best for you.
I mean, I could do both. I would say, um, outside of the ring, uh, was when my brother passed. I
Mm.
was like in a really, really dark place. Like I really felt like I lost myself because around that time, I really didn't think, you know, how can I say? I really didn't think that I had the capability of actually like taking someone's life, but that sort of rage that I had because my brother was taken from me, it was like, yeah, it can happen, and it really put me in a dark place that I was so familiar with, and
Mm.
something that I was very uncomfortable with, and I prayed a lot on that, and I would say that was one of the big things for me growing up. But I would say inside of the ring. Um, it was actually more so when I was in the amateurs. Uh,
Okay.
I really had to, in order to get the things that I wanted to get in terms of winning tournaments and whatnot, I, had to pray and take accountability of the things that I was not doing in terms of like training and putting, my all into my craft and expecting, everything, expecting like, everything to come to me. And that's obviously not how the world works. It's obviously not, what God teaches in order for you to get the things you desire.
Hmm.
So I did a lot of praying, and then I, took that accountability, and then I started to actually put in effort for the things I wanted. And before I started doing that, actually, I would get into fights with guys that was like the top of the nation and number one in the world, whatever. And I would like lose to them, but I would lose to them by like split decision without even
Mm.
training. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
once I really started to, put 100% into my craft, and you know, I really started to like, yeah, just pray and with effort, putting that work, I started to get everything I wanted, and I started to win, and I started to feel confident, and then I
Mm.
haven't looked back since. And that was probably back in like 2018.
All
And
right.
it's
I love
funny,
that.
because I actually was about to quit around that time too. I was about to quit boxing.
Wow. So what got you back in? Why did you not decide to move away from boxing and stick with this?
I love it. I just love it. To be honest, it's one of the things where that's all I knew.
Mm.
All I've done is box. My dad didn't even like to play around with basketball and nothing like that. I didn't even know how to ride a bike till I was like 17 years old. And my brother that passed, he actually taught me how to do that this summer before he passed. And it was like, and we did it in secret. It was funny. It was so funny. But yeah, like my dad was like super strict on me doing nothing but boxing. So that's
Okay.
all I knew. But at the same time, I didn't love it. Like it was something
Mm.
like I had the option to box or not box. Like I really did. Like I was on the fence at one point, but it was like, man, if I'm gonna step away from this thing, at least give it your all. At
Right.
least like you know say that you did enough to be proud of yourself. Because if I would have stepped away, I wouldn't have been proud of myself because I knew I had so much left in the tank. So
Mm.
I was like, okay, let's let's see where this goes, and I found a new love for it.
All right. Now, if I would have known that Bruce Carrington all the way back there, and I would have said, "Hey, by the year 2025, you're going to be the WBC interim world champion for featherweight division," how would you have
Yeah.
reacted?
I would have in that moment, I mean, I guess I would have like, oh, sounds nice. I would have been like, okay, you're just, saying this now just to, build my morale and whatever, but it wasn't really too much because like I was just so out of it. Like
Mm.
there was a lot going on that wasn't going my way in the ring and out the ring.
Right.
So it was just like, man, I don't know. I feel like I was plateauing. I feel like, you know. I had a financial low. I was going through, just there's a lot of different things, little relationship stuff in terms of like friends family, partner, all that. It was just like going bad.
Gotcha.
It was going so bad, bro. So yeah, I was just kind of just giving up on everything, and then yeah, after a while, I just started to just work on myself. Just it's like let me just focus on myself at this point because I refuse to be, you know, I refuse to be a quitter. I
Mm,
refuse to give up on myself. I refuse to be a loser. Yeah, I'm a real like critic on myself, and I'm
gotcha.
very ambitious. So yeah,
All right, so I actually want to follow up on that portion you just talked about right there. Obviously, it was on the table. You could have stepped away from boxing. We would have had a different WBC interim world champion right now. Who knows what would have happened? But you stuck with it. You've gotten yourself into this position. And I know there's countless people, some that have given up on their dreams, some that have continued with their dreams. But for those in a similar situation, what's your advice to them? Why should they continue to pursue what they love?
man. One of the things that I've learned right in life is like never try not to quit. Just have a strong mentality because you never know how close you are to your goal.
Mm,
Like you could be right there, just right there, and then you're quitting. Like, oh man. Then once you realize how close you were to the finish line, you'd be like, oh my god, like you're gonna feel so bad about yourself,
right.
and then you just having a mentality of being a quitter when you're right there, it just kind of takes all the momentum out of you. It sucks out all of the air out of you. And, that's something that you never want to go through, So
Right.
you just kind of just think about, okay, like when obstacles and what like are thrown your way, they're growing pains. They're meant to build character. It's not something that's supposed to just deter you and shut you down. It's
Mm,
not a sign to give up.
right.
People always want to be like, oh, it's maybe a sign that I shouldn't do this. Maybe it's not. No, it's like adversity helps you build character. It toughens you up.
Mm,
Sometimes God puts you through that to be able to handle the success, the clout and the attention that comes with, the goal that you set ahead for yourself. You know,
right.
sometimes people don't like. To let's say if people sometimes get certain things easy, they're not ready for the attention and the praise and whatnot that they get after it, and it's like, dang, like they didn't go through that journey, that growing pain. They didn't go
Mm.
through, and then it really just kind of shut down. You know, so I kind of just embrace it.
I love that. Now, something else about you is from the last time you came on the show, you've had another opportunity as well. You now are a ring ambassador. And I want to ask you about that. That's obviously a select group of guys that's been able to be a part of that. You're one of those guys. First of all, what does that actually entail? And then what was it like just being able to be a part of now the most recognizable brand in all of boxing?
Man, well, it's basically like another brand ambassador, like you do. I
Right.
get paid for making certain appearances. I get paid for putting their sponsorship on getting their brand on my shorts, my outfits, and whatnot.
Right.
Little things like that.
Okay.
And they kind of like do well, like pushing out like a lot of media. Like if I post on Twitter or Instagram, like they'll push it out on their page. And their page has a huge following, so a lot of people will see what I'm posting. But yeah, no, the ring has been involved with me for some time now. Like, I was
Mm.
a prospect of the year for the ring 2023, and that
Right.
was pretty cool. A lot of people were like, that's like super prestigious, bro. It's not like a voting thing, like a popular vote thing, like oh, and
Mm.
then you can kind of like that's yeah, like popular votes are not really how can I say authentic. It's not a
Agreed.
genuine type of thing. Like they pick themselves, and I was uh, yeah, I basically won the Ring magazine prospect of the year. But yeah, I mean, working with the Ring has been really dope. It's something that I never would have imagined that would happen for me, and
Mm.
I'm super grateful for it.
I want to ask you about a couple other things before we wrap up, going back into some boxing stuff in your future aspect. And some of those things are one of which is the Aaron Plumber videos.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's quite an interesting collab. I know you guys were having some videos together. I don't
Yeah,
have any idea how that connection got started, so I have to ask you this: where did that come to be? Obviously, we know him; he's gone viral this year. Also, we see Bruce Carrington in some videos with him.
yeah.
How'd that all come to be?
Yo, it's crazy, right? So me and my fiance, like, we love watching Aaron the Plumber, bro. Like, it was hilarious. Like, we see a bunch of his videos and whatnot, and literally the day before I met him, we were just watching something. We was yo, he's hilarious. We love this dude. We love this dude. Catching phase with everybody. And it's funny because most of his crash outs are valid. Like, it's hilarious that he just snaps so quick, but his crash outs be valid, you know? He don't tolerate disrespect. It is what it is. So the next day I go to the gym. We have like two different like areas inside the gym. There's a doorway that splits between the ring and the bag, and then the other side of that doorway is a strictly conditioning section where it got all the dumbbells and
Okay.
all the gits and gadgets and whatever. He's on the other side with the dumbbells doing strictly conditioning, and just walking. My regular thing. I walk to the gym, get everybody five, say hello to everyone, and I go to the back. Is that Aaron? Is that what the heck is he doing here? I'm like, oh, it's not. It was crazy. And then it's just a regular workout day though. I'm minding my business. Not being a fanboy and nothing like that. And I'm just, we're on warming up, shadow boxing, and I'm noticing like he comes out and he's just watching me, like he's just like got his arms crossed, he's just like looking at my technique, looking at the footwork. And then Coach K, he's like kind of letting him know and telling him what I'm doing, what I'm working on. You can tell he's like, while he's watching me, building interest, and he's just like kind of like, oh, this dude is nice, like, this dude's cool.
Mhm.
And then whole time, I think Jay Prince's son is the person who introduced Kay to Aaron the Plumber and told him to come work out with us and mentioned me to him, and I had no idea. And he was like, "Oh yeah, the SchuZ kid, yeah, man, he's nice. I'm seeing him work out." Blah, blah. So we kind of got linked up like that,
Okay.
on some cordial thing. But day after day, I would like give him little jewels and kind of teach him the game a little bit, and teach him little techniques. And we kind of got closer as we kept working out with each other. And we got a pretty cool relationship, man. He came out to my last fight, flew
Mhm.
out, showed me mad love. He hung out with me after the fights as well. Like, dude, he's a solid guy, man.
Mm. Now, I know it hasn't officially been announced, but I think it's pretty obvious he's training to go into the ring and actually have a real fight. I know he's training with
Yeah.
stuff and stuff like that. Obviously, we've seen the different clips and all that, but social media clips are much different than real life. You've seen him more so working on it. Does he
Mhm.
have a future in boxing? Something that we could be excited for?
I would say it's a little premature to say that
Fair
right
enough.
now, but he definitely has the foundation, and he has a solid foundation and great coordination for his experience. Like, he just started to do it, but the way he's catching on to
Hmm.
certain like advanced moves, like in terms of just keeping distance with the stiff arm, and then flicking the jab from the hip, going a little shoulder, getting close, bumping with the shoulder, throwing little short shots, like those
Right.
little advanced stuff. Like, he's not just throwing punches out there. He's
Okay.
out there like really doing some sharp stuff. So if he continues to keep going, I can see him really getting into the Jake Paul level type of
Okay.
celeb boxing. You know what I'm saying? I could really see him doing that if he stays consistent, continue to build his cardio, and just study his craft. He can do that. He has a bright future.
All right, I like that. All right, so I want to get a couple of things with you. I mentioned earlier that Elijah Pierce was on the show a little bit ago, and he said that you are one of the very few guys he considers a legitimate friend in the boxing business. And I know you guys have known each other for quite some time there. He did say one thing: is like, obviously, he's not a guy that's going to go call out there for a fight, but you guys have talked about that potential. If you guys both are world champions one day to unify, both make a big payday, is that something that would also interest you if those perfect situation were to come together between you two?
Of course, why not? Like, I'm all about the big fights. I'm all about the action.
Right.
Yes, me and Elijah Pierce, we've known each other since the 2015 Olympic trials. We fought each other. We fought twice. He won the
Okay.
first fight. I won the second fight. And I feel like even now, like, our styles will make great matchup. But
Hmm.
as of right now, um, I think he just moved to 126 for this
Yep,
big.
he's there now. Yep, he just moved to number 3 in the WBA.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's very possible. It's very possible to fight to be made. Yeah, he's a great dude. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like he's one of the few guys that I kept in contact with, like for years after we fought. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
And a very genuine guy.
yeah.
But yeah, if the money's right and it's perfect time to make the fight, why not? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It's not personal. It's business.
Right. I like the mentality there because I know that is a very talked about topic in boxing when you have two guys that are friends. I think obviously the only thing I'd separate would be if you're brothers, that'd be a little bit odd doing those type of
Right,
things.
right,
But
right.
if you're really close friends, you know, some guys have the stance of saying, I'm not going to fight them regardless of what happens. Some guys say the paycheck's right, we can make something happen there. Your stance seems to be a little bit more so if the paycheck's right, we know we can make it happen. Walk us through the mentality. Why is that the stance you take?
Man, I mean, to be honest, I'm helping you put food on the table. You help me put food on the table. Like,
Yeah.
why not, bro?
I like,
It's
yep, yep.
business. Like, I mean, come on, bro. At the end of the day, when these fighters they all do all this riffraff at the media press conferences and weigh-ins, whatever. But what do they do right after the final bell? They hug it out. They
Right,
they they give each other five and all of these different like compliments and whatnot. It's always business. You know what I'm saying? Granted, when the rounds are going on, all of that goes out the window, and you know you got to put yourself in a certain like animalistic state. You have
right.
to, because this guy's trying to hurt you. You got to basically return the favor. But
Mhm.
yeah, man, like at the end of the day, the fight is gonna end, and what we're gonna do after that?
Right.
We're gonna earn millions of dollars, and then we could go on a trip to Cancun after. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It really doesn't matter, bro. Like, I honestly feel like people that these like people that don't want to fight each other because of their friendship. Um, I really don't understand, you know, that aspect of it and that way of thinking. That's just something that I don't agree with. But
Okay.
they may have their reasons, and it is what it is. With me, I'm all about that paper. So,
I like that. All
yeah.
right. Well, that leads us perfectly into what I want to wrap talk about, and it's the business side. I know we briefly kind of touched up on some of the stuff going on at 126, but there's a few things that we want to get into specifically. One of which is as you've now gone from the amateur to the pro ranks. The amateur has its own side of the business as well, but pro ranks is much more business oriented.
Mhm.
Obviously, you know there's a lot of ups and downs that come with that, and one of which is the situation you're currently in. And what I want to specifically go into is I believe you talked about this. I don't know who it was with, but you said that the Nick Ball fight, you're rumored to be in discussion with them. He declined $2 million.
Mhm.
That's a pretty large sum of money there for him to
Mhm.
turn that down. And obviously, like you said, it's not like Nick Ball is taking the biggest top of the crop guys at 126 right now, just being
Right.
honest up there.
Right.
So when you see that situation, what goes through your mind and just walk us through what exactly happened there?
Man, okay, so initially, you know, I would say some months before we even sent that to him offer,
Mm-hmm.
um, we sent out just an offer just to fight. And he was like, well, his team was like, yeah, you know, the only way we would fight SchuZ is if we get an offer of $2 million. You know, we
Mm,
didn't have it at the moment. I was like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. We come back. I think this is like sometime after I get linked up with Turkey and ring and being a ring
okay.
ambassador. Now we have the 2 million. You know, so we circle back. Hey, listen, you ready after this fight that you have on the July 26th? You ready to do it? Let's get this. No, forget it. I'm sorry. Excuse me, before the July 26th fight,
Right.
you know, let's do it. Let's set it up. We got 2 million. Oh no, we don't think it's worth it fighting you. Now it's like, okay, what the heck is that about? Like, the money's right. You should believe in your fighter. You know, you think your fighter's a world champ, and you know you should believe in your fighter enough to feel like you know he could, you know, possibly beat me. It's
Hmm.
not like I'm like ranked number 10, ranked number 20. No, I'm ranked number what is it, WBA two in the
Probably it's right
WBA.
there, you know. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm definitely top three. So
Hmm.
it's like I've earned my place to even call out for the title. You know what I'm saying? And there should be no, you know, debate about, you know, me being, you know, me getting my shot. Why
Right.
I get my shot? It makes me like, is this something you're worried about? You know,
Right.
those questions start to come up. So that's kind of how that situation happened. And now I saw, I think an interview that Nick Ball recently had, and he's basically like, yeah, you know, Bruce Shooter Carrington, like he's hungry, he's coming, you know, he's calling me out, this and that and the third. But he needs to watch how the way he talks about me, the way he comes around or comes at me, or like he won't get his shot. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but you know,
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that interview. Yep.
yeah. So I'm like, so what you're telling me is I gotta kiss your ass to get a shot. I'm not your friend, bro. I don't know you, and I'm not
Hmm.
even being disrespectful. There's
Yeah.
nothing that I've said about him to where I've been disrespectful for him to feel like I need to watch my mouth, or whatever the case may be. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like I'm just letting it be known. Like to be honest, I've said plenty of times like I respect him as a fighter. He
Hmm.
the way he fights, the young hungry dude. He beats down. It's always entertaining to watch a smaller guy beat down a bigger guy. and stuff like that. I feel like our styles being matched made in heaven. I always say that,
Right.
but him saying that I should, I guess, speak nice to be able to get my shot. Come on, that's BS, bro. Ain't
Mhm.
nobody trying to hear that. You're just trying to find any excuse, and I just don't respect.
All right, so obviously, the more I've learned about the boxing world, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and sometimes it's not even the fighter's fault. Sometimes it's the management team, whatever it is. When you look at the situations currently at store for yourself, when we look at the champion specifically, Angelo Leo, obviously he just became a world champion, all that. I'll give him a little break from the aspect. But the other three, Fulton obviously is up there. He's had his time. You obviously have Nick Ball. We just talked about Espinoza. Are
Mm.
these guys specifically? Are these things that you feel like these the guys are calling the shots and they say, you know what? I don't want these big fights. I want these guys. Is it the management teams? Is it the organizing bodies? Who do you think is really at fault for what's going on right now at 126?
I genuinely don't know.
Okay.
That's the thing. I with the Nick Ball situation, it makes me feel like it's the management team,
Mm-hmm.
because they're looking in the best interest of their fighters,
Yeah.
obviously, and they don't want them to, risk fighting a guy like me. They see my style, they see how explosive I am, and you know, things of that nature. So it makes me feel like it's the management team, but I also understand that the business is not that black and white. So I genuinely don't know.
Okay. In terms of your next opportunity, we know the champions. We just listed them up there. Stephen Fulton, I feel like it's a foregone conclusion. He's going to 130. I know it's a whole controversial thing right now with who knows what's going to happen with the Tank Davis and Mont Roach fight. They were supposed to be the
Mm.
co-main event. Nobody knows what's going to happen there. But hypothetically, the plan is for him to move up. So where does that leave you then? What obviously I know you want a world championship shot next. Is that something that you're not going to fight again until that's on the table for yourself, or what do you have in store? When do you want to get back to the ring? Just talk about those aspects.
Man, I want to get back to the ring before the end of the year.
Okay.
I would say like the last quarter of the year. Um, if the fight materializes with Stephen Fulton and Rocky Foster, then I genuinely don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if the WBC is gonna elevate me to be the full champ, or if Ray Vargas and Carlos Castro they're supposed to get a fight. If that
Right.
fight materializes, then I would have to fight the winner of that to fight for the WBC world title.
Hmm.
So those are the two things right now. Those are the two options that I'm.
So you'd say then your next fight, without a shadow of doubt, you're not going to step foot in the ring unless it is for the actual world championship. Then,
Yeah, that's. I would love to. I feel like there should be no other reason why I shouldn't be fighting for a world title next.
100% agree. Now, the other business aspect I want to ask you about is you obviously are with Top Rank, and I know they're in a little bit of a situation right now in terms of TV deal. I know they're going to take this month off. There's nothing planned for August. We've seen some guys go fight on other cards for this month going forward. Obviously, I don't think you're going to be doing that aspect, but from what you know, is it something that you believe a TV deal will be in place in the near future? So you'll be on whatever network that's going to be at, or where does this and how does this possibly impact you?
Yeah, I definitely think that a TV deal will be made by before the end of the year. I'm not really worried about what's top rank with their next move because they've been super relevant ever since Muhammad Ali has been in the game, and
Right.
even that, even like when it comes to like the pandemic, they put in the most amount of shows in the bubble during that time.
Right.
They've even made people turn superstars during that time. Like Jerry Anderson built his name during that time. Edgar Berlanga built his name during that time. They had big fights, i.e. Loma and Teofimo Lopez during the bubble. So and what else? Oscar Valdez and Miguel Burchell. That was a good fight.
Yep.
So they know how to adapt with,
Mm-hmm.
and so that makes me very confident that I don't really have to worry too much about the next. But I'm not worried about myself because I'm I'm still under contract to fight, one more time in this year. So it is what it is. I know I'm definitely going to get in the ring before the year ends.
Where do you see the future of boxing? Because I know it's been a very controversial topic right now with ESPN off the table. I think they're going to get involved in some way, shape, or form in the future again. This is the first time that in the modern era of boxing, no boxing on national television. It's all going to be streaming, whether that be DAZN, Netflix, Amazon. It's a new era. What's your thoughts on that?
I think the viewership is going to go down because not everyone has the finances and all that to compete to pay for streaming. A lot of people they have across the world, even third world countries, have like satellite to
Hmm.
be able to watch certain networks and whatnot. So to take satellite away and just do streaming, I think that'll affect some of the viewership. But you have guys like Jake Paul and other YouTubers or content creators that's getting into boxing, that's building the, I guess, the popularity of the game and bringing a
Mhm.
whole different crowd of people, a whole different demographic of people into
Yep.
watching boxing. So I think that that helps a lot. You know,
Yeah.
what I don't think that helps are these little streaming sites that they be like bootlegging these fights, or like just these pirating these fights and whatever. So that kind of hurts the game a little bit,
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like boxing we should be okay for some time.
All right. I think you perfectly nailed it there. And I actually want to elaborate. That's one of the last things I ask you there. And that is that part where I think overall not having boxing on national television will hurt because obviously so many people flipping the TV channels, you're a young guy. I like this sport. It's kind of how so many people, historically at least, fall in love with the sport.
Yeah.
That's not an option anymore. But that's why I say the whole Jake Paul thing, you can have your stance on him as a person, the way he's handling business, if he gets a world championship shot, those are things. But I think overall, the what he's bringing, the impact of boxing is huge for it. Can you elaborate on that aspect? How big is it when you see Jake Paul? Obviously, it's controversial in some areas, but how big is what he's bringing to boxing for the sport as a whole?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge.
Hmm.
It's bringing, like, it's making boxing. How can I say? More spectacle again.
Agree.
Like I remember, well, there was some time when boxing was just like has the same formula. It has the guys just kind of during press conferences they do the face off, whatever, go on stage, just do stuff. But I feel like with Jake Paul and his events sometimes, like you always see a bunch of like different fireworks come out and different like the pyro come out and whatnot. Like I
Right.
feel like he's making it more of a spectacle, kind of WWE esque a little
I like
bit,
that. Yep.
but still keeping it professional. It's not like too how can I say? It's not too. It's not taking too much of a joke. It's still
Sure.
like you still feel like you're watching a boxing event.
Hmm.
So yeah, I like the respect that he's carrying with it, and he's also kind of staying in his lane when it comes to fighting certain fighters. Like
Yeah.
he'll either fight old retired washed up fighters or guys that's just like that's not really in the game anymore. It's like he kind of like stays in his lane, and I
Hmm.
respect it.
Now, do you think? I know there's rumors, supposedly it's 50-50 chance, according to Eddie Hearn, that the fight between him and Anthony Joshua happens. Do you think that actually would happen?
Yeah, I can see that happening with the right amount
Okay.
of money. I could definitely see that happening for
Right.
sure. Definitely.
All right.
I would definitely tune in for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. Well, I got one final question for you, SchuZ. It's the question I was like wrapping up with, and I'm gonna switch up a little bit since you just answered a few months ago back. But talking about your legacy, if you hypothetically were to step away from boxing today, what would it be that you hope to be remembered for what you have brought to the sport, but also outside of that ring?
Mhm. That's tough. That's tough because I don't feel like I've done enough to say that it'd be something that I feel like I left behind. That's
Mm,
just me. I mean, maybe just giving the people hope of someone coming up that really represented, New York really well.
mm,
Got the whole, New York saying "Shoe York City" right now. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like that right there is just beautiful to see. It's beautiful to hear, and I love to see how everyone's kind of just getting behind that. It's really incredible to watch. But I think that just me giving that hope of like, man, like who's gonna be the next big guy, big thing from New York? We haven't had one of those in forever.
Yeah.
I think who's the last guy? I mean, you can say Danny Jacobs, but I don't think that he truly embodied a
Hmm.
New Yorker like a guy like Zach Judah. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between the two.
Definitely.
I feel like I want to be able to carry New York like Zach Judah did and do it more.
All right. I like that. Well, Bruce, I appreciate you for taking time to come on in, man. It's been an honor and blessing having you back on here, and I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for you. Hopefully, next time we talk, you are officially a world champion, man.
Yes, yes, I love that. Speak that to existence, man. I appreciate
Of
that.
course, absolutely, man. Well, it's been an honor having SchuZ Show on the SchuZ Show once again, man. God bless.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Same. Thank you for having me, man.
Of course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless, bro.
God bless.